Hey homeschoolers, I'm Melissa Webb, former full-time classroom teacher and homeschool mom turned full-time business CEO and encourager to homeschool families everywhere. I am determined and dedicated to helping you in this journey that you're on. Yes, I want to give you sound, educational, practical tips and advice, at the same time making sure that you're enjoying the family journey that you are on. So if you are looking for a place to be encouraged and inspired, you have found the perfect podcast. Homeschooling is a work of heart is truly the perfect place to start. So welcome. Let's jump in. Hello, homeschoolers. It's officially spring. I am so happy. Longer days of sunshine and happiness. I'm thrilled. I hope you are as well. As you know, one of my many roles in life is being the CEO of my company. And as Q1 wraps up for 2025 and Q2 is about to begin, it is time for me to evaluate our progress. So what does that mean? I sit back and look at all kinds of things. The programs we're offering and the programs we're wanting to change or tweak, the sales that we have happening, the revenue that we've been collecting, our old goals, new goals. What do we want to keep doing? What do we need to stop doing? All those kinds of things. That's what happens when I evaluate my business. Students are evaluated as well. Most children in general rely on someone to evaluate their progress. Maybe they take a test and then they wait to get a grade back. What score did I get? Or in our case, we have students who write an essay and then they're excited to find out, how did I do? Evaluations are a part of life. Even employees, right? You get a yearly review as an adult, and that is then evaluated. And you find yourself maybe asking, am I cutting it? Am I going to get a raise this year? How much will my raise? Will I get a promotion? Evaluations are here to stay, and they are important because when we evaluate, we are checking progress and directing any future goals. So I thought, have I ever done a podcast on this? I'd like to talk about evaluating people, evaluating ourselves, because I think it's something that begins pretty early in life. I was thinking about how early do we start to self-evaluate our actions. I think when we're really young, it's probably called more of a conviction than a self-evaluation. I don't know. Did you ever do anything as a young child that maybe you shouldn't have done? And maybe you never even got caught, but you felt terrible knowing that you knew better. Is anything coming to mind? For me, when I was in elementary school, this was what came to my mind. I have not thought about this in decades. But as a kid, I was always supposed to put my dirty clothes in the laundry basket. And then my mom would wash all my clothes for me. And for some reason, I had gone through this time when I decided what made more sense was to shove my dirty clothes under my bed. I'm sure it was something like I was supposed to clean my room and I had 2 minutes to do it. And instead of putting things where they needed to go, I think I shoved a lot of things under my bed. I'll have to ask my mom about that, but that's what's coming to mind. And when I look back on it, it does just sound kind of weird. Maybe it was just the rebel in me. All the same, that backfired. And at one point, I remember my mom asking, where are your clothes that need washing? And I told her I didn't have any, which is just so silly. And she went with it. Such a great mom. She's like, okay. So she did all her laundry. And then I had no clean clothes. And I just remember thinking, that was a terrible idea. I shouldn't ever do that again. And that's the first self-evaluation moment that came to my mind. I'd be so curious to know what comes to mind for you. I do think self-evaluation starts early, and it should start early. So let's talk about it this week and let's make sure that your kiddos are putting self evaluation into practice and that you're helping them. So, first off, what is self evaluation? By definition, self evaluation is having the ability to assess one's own work, progress, and behavior honestly and constructively. So notice self evaluation isn't about beating yourself up as much as it's about what did you do? Did it work? Did it not work? How are you going to move forward? It's more than focusing on self criticism. Our goal here is to teach our children to concentrate on self awareness and a growth mindset. So, the three key skills involved that I will go into more detail regarding are reflection, accountability, and goal setting. Those are the three key skills: reflection, accountability, and goal setting. But I will say this before we get into that. There are a few places where self evaluation naturally lends itself to practice at home with your kids. Obviously, anything around schoolwork. So, do you require your children to review their own assignments, their worksheets, their projects before they turn them into you? That's a great place to start if you're like, oh no, they just do. And then we end up talking about, hey, you didn't follow these directions. From the very beginning, get them to self evaluate. It's one of the things we do with our students before they can submit for their essay review. We have what's called the 4-color edit checklist. And there are 4 colored boxes where students must check the boxes to make sure that one, they've organized their essay the way that we've asked, that they have made it grammatically and mechanically clean. There's a set of check boxes for that, and that they've developed it with all of the parts and pieces an essay needs, like the hook and the thesis, and they have to highlight that for us. And so that's a self evaluation tool that we use. It's very important because if all they did was just turn things in, they would miss a lot of that. It's when they are self evaluating that they become aware of these things and they grow. So that's important. I think schoolwork's probably the easiest place, but it's not the only place. Anytime that your child has completed a task or a chore around the house, you could just start to ask questions like, hey, what part of that was easiest for you? Or what was hardest for you? Or what could you do differently next time? Another place where self evaluation is pretty natural is just in the everyday situations that require interaction with others, a range of emotions. So, do you help your children evaluate their feelings about things, the way they interact with their siblings or their friends or their family members? So, this is important. I hope you're in complete agreement here. These are skills that will build independence and responsibility in our children. And we all want them to be adults who know how to self evaluate their decisions. Also, this helps develop that growth mindset that I just mentioned because we should be learning from mistakes. We don't want to fear that we're going to fail. We want to embrace failure as an opportunity to learn what didn't work and then evaluate what might make it better in the future. This does increase their confidence in making decisions, so that's important. And I would also add, I think that self evaluation encourages self motivation rather than finding ourselves relying on external validation. I mean, I just see adults who still search for this external validation. And I wonder if it's because their self evaluation skills aren't so strong. I mean, think of it. Think of people who have that over attachment to likes and comments on social posts or getting compliments from others or needing affirmations that they're making good life choices. Like they're proving it, proving it, proving it to others when, in fact, if we have a strong ability to self evaluate, we can measure our own personal success and be happy with it rather than comparing ourselves to others. So let's get into the three key skills that I mentioned: the reflection, the accountability, and the goal setting, and ways you can apply this. And then I hope you do. I hope you do. I hope this is something that you can put into play right away. So, reflection. Let's start with that because I think that it's second nature for most parents, adults, teachers to just toss out compliments to kids for jobs well done, whether that's a school project, assignment, a household chore you've asked them to do. However, if we could instead be very intentional and ask questions instead of giving immediate feedback, I think it could open a door for practice and, if nothing else, some conversation. So, for example, your child completes a chore, maybe emptying the dishwasher, maybe folding laundry, whatever chores you have your child doing around the house. Instead of just saying, hey, great job getting your laundry done, you could ask some questions like, so what do you think you did well this time in folding that laundry? And maybe they might come up with something. A lot of times kids aren't even thinking along this lines. This is the whole point, right? We want them to evaluate. And you know what they're going to want to say first? I don't know. I don't know. That's what they're going to want to say first because they don't really want to think about it. But this is where parenting can really up level. You say, well, when I did my laundry last, I realized a new way to fold my socks. Let me show you. I don't know, something like that. Having these conversations. So if you could do it again, or when you do this again, is there anything you want to improve or change? It could be, well, I want to start hanging up my shirts, not folding them. Again, getting them to think and having conversations. If it's something after schoolwork, asking them, so what part of that math page felt pretty easy for you? When does it start to get hard for you? Ask them their thoughts. Ask them their opinions. Again, if you've not been doing this, in the beginning, they're going to say, I don't know, Mom, it's fine. I was fine. It's good. I don't want to talk about it. Those kinds of things are very normal and natural. And so you may just make tiny little progress over time that will turn into longer conversations. And this is great too, because you may see something on Pinterest or see something on Instagram. Like there are some fun charts that parents come up with and they put in their homeschool rooms that kind of help students with self-evaluation. Maybe you get one of those and they just get in the habit of going and checking boxes if they don't really want to talk about it. You have to come up with whatever works for you. If they do get stuck in schoolwork, always ask, how did you solve that problem? Or how did you stay focused for so long? If you notice something, like they kept their head down and they worked on that project for an extended amount of time, rather than just saying, great job staying so motivated, ask, how did you stay so focused? What do you think kept you so focused? Get curious about how your kids think, how they work. Maybe you could apply this to a sport that they play, or maybe they're learning a new song on the piano. Ask questions. How is it that you're getting so great at that particular song? What's really clicked for you? Get them to start evaluating how it is that they are coming to the places in their life where they currently are. The next thing you want to do is notice that reflection often requires action when moving forward. And that would be that accountability piece. You want to hold your kiddos accountable. Now, if as they're reflecting, everything's really great and there's nothing that they would change, you probably won't need to spend a whole lot of time here. But if there was anything like it took them a really long time to get something down, help them commit to improving next time. Again, hold them accountable. What could we do next time? Again, this is a discussion. But what you want to do is reinforce the idea that the effort matters and that self-improvement is a lifelong process. I'm still working on self-improvement, aren't you? We want our kids to know this. You can model this, in fact. Let's say that you rushed a project. Maybe you were hanging a picture on a wall and you stand back. Your kids are on the couch. They're just reading books. You stand back. You notice it's crooked. Maybe your kids notice it. That's crooked, Mom. Evaluate out loud and just notice what happens. So you could stand back and go, you know what? I rushed. I did not measure. And look at what happened. That's what happens when I rush. I'm going to commit, hold yourself accountable. I'm going to commit to redoing it. Take the picture down, do your measurement, whatever you need to do, get the level out, incorporate the kids. Just know they are watching you. They're always watching us and they're always learning from us. And if we let things slide around the house, in our lives, we are teaching our kids that that's okay. So don't just hold them accountable, but notice times that you might be able to hold yourself accountable in front of them. And then lastly, the goal setting portion is so important. So you reflect, you hold yourself accountable for any necessary changes, and then you set the next goals. And that's it. That is how this whole self-evaluation model cycles again and again and again. As I mentioned when I started this podcast, I am currently setting my quarter 2 goals. And these goals are important. They have kept me in business for 5 years, and they keep this self-evaluation cycle going for me. It's currently spring break, and so my mind is also swirling right now with all kinds of home projects that I want to get done. I have a lot of goals. And I was thinking, what kind of goal might I offer you? Suggest that you apply during spring break, maybe a challenge that you could do with your kiddos where you could actually put into practice these 3 things. So first you need the challenge. So let's do a bedroom cleanup challenge. Now, you may have your own idea. Maybe there's something that your children have been wanting to do. They've been wanting to maybe cook in the kitchen. So you could do a cooking challenge. Or maybe there's a new chore you want to teach them to do now that they're older. They've got, a bigger task to take care of around the house. Whatever it is, I'll just use a bedroom cleanup challenge to get the wheels spinning for you. But step 1 is going to be to assign the challenge. So you could just say, hey, I want you to clean your room by Saturday, and give them as few or as many details as you wish. You can be very specific what that means or what you're expecting. Although I'd suggest for this experiment, say less and just say, hey, so I'm going to give you a week from Saturday. I want you to have your room cleaned. And then leave it. You don't need to keep reminding them. Just come back to it that next Saturday. The day is going to come, and now you're going to start the reflection, accountability, and new goal cycle. So first, did the job even get done? If not, that's pretty easy. You're going to start with those questions. Why didn't the job get done? What could have helped you to get the job done? If it did get done, ask them questions like, what part of cleaning your room went really well for you? And what took you longer than you expected? What was something you felt you needed to do the job better? What could you do to improve next time? Those are just some reflection questions. I know you'll come up with others, but just ask a couple, and then hold them accountable for the job well done. So if they didn't get it done, like that's it right away. Well, you do need to get it done. Do you want to give them a whole other week? I wouldn't. I'd say, so now you have 24 hours to get it done. But if they got it done, but one of the things they said is, honestly, I missed cleaning up under my bed, or maybe you caught that they didn't clean under their bed, then they must go back and complete that now. Go do it now. And then set some new goals and let them choose. One of their goals could be, you know what, I'm just going to keep my room this clean so that next time you tell me to clean my room, I could be done in 10 minutes. This took me 2 hours because I don't put my things away every night or every couple of days. I just leave stuff out. Then you need to revisit. That's the whole cycle. Reflect again, come back in a week or a couple weeks, and then reflect again. Hey, how is that room of yours looking? Hold them accountable. You said you were going to keep it super clean, but you haven't. Why don't you go do it now? What's your new goal? And cycle over and over again. My whole point in even making an entire episode out of this is because I believe this is great life preparation for children. I know I want my children prepared to live lives where they are not relying on other people to evaluate the success of their life, but that they can, and that they are reflecting on their own decisions and they are holding themselves accountable and changing things when they need to be changed. And setting new goals, always setting new goals. Goals are so important. They give us purpose. Teaching self-evaluation early on will help your children develop confidence and independence and responsibility. And we all need to be able to check ourselves from time to time and ask the questions and make the changes and set the new goals. So if you aren't already doing these sorts of things, or you're not doing them often enough, I encourage you this week, this month, start incorporating any of these strategies. Try something and observe the impact. I believe this was a valuable episode, and I'm going to be sure to share it. I hope you do too. My goal is to continue to offer you something awesome every week as well. And until then, right on. Well, thanks so much for tuning in and listening this week. Hey, if this was something that you found valuable, don't forget you want to subscribe or follow so that every time a new episode is dropped, you'll be the first to know. And hey, before you go, if you are looking to get some of this academic writing under your belt and outsourced so that it's one less thing, freeing you up to enjoy more time with your family, hey, you're going to want to head over to writeonweb.com to see what kinds of resources and materials I have available for you. I will look forward to seeing you there, and I will look forward to seeing you here in our next episode. Right on.